Hello, my beautiful viewers. A new video, a new sparkly video, all for our spotlight author. How are you, my beautiful viewers? How are you, my beautiful diamond beauties and Tanzania heroes? I must just say, my beautiful community, I miss you all because I'm still blocked out of Facebook, but it's going amazing. I am blessed behind words, blessed. So yes, my co-host is here, Zachary, and but I've got also amazing co-host that is going to be amazing with our amazing spotlight author, our beautiful Christa Rose, as I call her, my love bug, my beautiful Gail, my rosebud love bug for Gail, and my life force, beautiful Laura is going to ask beautiful Paul amazing questions. So I would love to give the full host session over to Laura, and then I will wait my turn. Okay, Zachary, are you ready? I am ready. Laura, all over to you.
Thank you, my dear, my grand dame, Miss Sanet, the voice amplifier around the globe. And we are just so honored with Zachary. Look at that face and the energy. You want to talk about life force energy? It's right there in the baby, which I love because he's a perfect co-host for supporting our beautiful, very intuitive, very creative writer, Mr. Paul Boulton. I cannot wait to get to you. The way we usually work this is each co-host will introduce themselves, say a little bit about how they move around in the world, and then we will begin asking you questions, Paul. But before we do, I'm going to ask you to please introduce yourself, tell the audience a little bit about you and what led to the book, and then we'll move through because we all like to introduce ourselves and get right to the questions. So please, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Lovely to see Christa, Gail, Laura, and Sanet, but also to the viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm coming to you from the Sunshine Coast in Australia, which is in the middle of winter at the moment, and it's not even dawn outside yet. So I know most of you guys will be enjoying most of Wednesday. It's our Thursday morning. My journey, basically, I've always been what's called an empath, which means I can feel, and which made it particularly difficult growing up in a standard family. And just hearing people's words, but knowing what their truth was. And along the way, become a professional psychic, and I've been using that for decades now as a way to have as my income over 25 years now. But my goal is to help people know themselves better. And sometimes when they're in confusion and sadness and overwhelm, I can help find where their heart's at and their head's at, and then bring the balance back. And I've developed processing to do that, which is what we're going to be featuring today in the book. And I've worked on thousands of people over the decades, 10 doctors and 30 psychologists, among hundreds and hundreds of wonderful mums and dads that just needed some help. So
beautiful.
And
Thank you.
Go on.
Yeah, thank you. I know we could probably listen and just not even ask a question, and you would just gift us with your wisdom and all of this gained insight. But part of the joy and the beauty of our program here, right? The Soul Diamond Author's Journey that Sanet has created for authors is we get to ask you questions. So, Sanet, would you like to take a moment while baby's down to introduce yourself and say hello?
Oh, you are so amazing. Thank you. So, my beautiful viewers, I am Sanet from Breda. I'm currently in New Zealand and I'm your voice amplifier. And yes, Paul, I've experienced quite chilly mornings, chilly to the bones, and I'm not used to that as well. So, I am creating space and stages for millions of people around the world to share their wisdom, their brilliance and their transformative stories. And currently, I'm a full-time nanny, date care nanny for my grandson, and an amazing granny Omi for my other children. So, if I can start off with my questions, when I had our amazing coffee chat, one of the things that you express is your wish for 1 million children to go through this. Can you please share your beautiful dream, and then you share your book as well? All over to you, Paul.
Well, indeed, I've worked on lots and lots of adults, as mentioned, over the years. Gone all croaky now, but what I find with adults is most of the issues they're struggling with comes from their childhood. So then the goal of this particular book was to go, well, if we can help, if I can provide a process that can help parents, as it says, teachers and caring adults, to learn to help children in those childhood years when they're dealing with massive layers of nervousness, confusion, insecurity, depression, um, rejection, abandonment, which are really the big annihilators of self-love and self-worth. So if I can provide this, which a person can learn the process and the statements are in there, then they can help turn their little children into more responsive, more articulate, more courageous, better communicators, so that they can handle their world better, whether that's in prep or preschool or kindergarten and all the way through. Because most parents aren't really good uh, communicators, I've got to say, and because they've learned from what they've experienced. And so when this snowball gets down the hill, there's a whole lot of um, things in there that the child's got to filter through to see what they can use to strengthen their own world and make themselves feel safe. So the goal, of course, as I was talking to Sanet, was about, which was probably what you want me to say, was 1 million children before 2030 is what my goal is. I hope that we can tap at least 1 million children, and then when we get to 1 million, let's do 2 million, because it's going to create a massive ripple across society and across different languages to help children become more empowered, because they are not just our future, they're our present. And we need really, really anchored, strong children who've got better coping skills than we have, so that they can create a better world.
Incredible. And I just took a screenshot with you, and all of us has goosebumps for your million dream. And I know, like I said to you, I know it's going to come true. And I will do it in my power also to help assist my
Thank you.
beautiful Laura. Thank you for giving me the time.
Of course, of course. What an amazing question, and such a beautiful introduction. I already have like 3 questions off of what you just said outside of all my questions, and I know my girls do as well. Miss Christa Rose, would you like to go next?
I would love to, but first of all, I'm going to read what one of our viewers is saying. So Renee Blackwell Design says, "Good morning, Paul and all. Looking forward to hearing about the book." So that's one of our amazing viewers right now. So a little introduction about me. So my name is Christa. I'm coming from Canada, and I help people who lack clarity in their life find some direction. So I do this through many ways. My signature title of my book, it's like I have to say it, made Amazon #1 bestseller.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. Skip the pain, experience the pleasure, and of course, cut the crap that's holding you back so you can live the life you love. And I really do that because a lot of times what we do is we hold on to the pain and we hold on to the stuff that doesn't serve us anymore. I'm also an international speaker, nutritionist, and a Reiki master, energy worker, and things. I've been told I'm an earth angel as I am put in people's lives right at the moment that they need it, and I think it's when I need it as well. So I'm extremely happy to meet you. It was an honor to read your book, and now to get to know you a little bit more. So I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to jump in with a quote. um, and it really kind of hit me because it's there's so much truth to this. So I guess my question is going to be, why did you specifically pick this quote, and how do you find it fits in? It says, the family is the primary place of woundness and healing. It is where our scripts are written and where they can be rewritten. And that's by John Bradshaw.
Oh, John Bradshaw, yes. Um, Part of my journey going through the 80s was like most people's, is trying to work themselves out. And so I got influenced by John Bradshaw, who is one of the greatest exponents of helping identifying the family wounds, but also coming up with processes to help people. And he's been such a major influence, just as in Australia, Steve Biddulph, who wrote Manhood and Raising Boys and those really important books. So John Bradshaw's work really emphasized in me, which is why we chose that quote, was as much as parents have children, children have parents, and children have families. And the parents can make room and create the space and put the cot in the room and all this sort of stuff, but the child's just parachuted into a family of established beliefs, fears, vulnerabilities, unprocessed issues from their own journey, dysfunctional communication abilities that they share between the relationship, then to the children. So it's a massive minestrone of all sorts of different sorts of things that the child's got to get used to, including all of the wacko views and feelings of the parents and the kids and the dogs and everything else they're getting used to. It must be completely terrifying for a child. And so the important thing for me about that was, I've just lost an earplug, was to create an awareness where we go from, that's my child, my chair, my car, my status, to who is this being, and how can we help them. And the best way, as I believe, the best way we can help our children is to slow down, be present for them, hear them, and then honor what they say without dismissing it or just pushing it off to the side. But importantly, the best thing we can do is work on ourselves to be clear our own rejection, abandonment issues, become more courageous communicators for ourselves in the relationship with the family and the partner and with the world. And more people in their integrity is what's needed.
That is so spot on. And as I read it, I mean, you beautifully outlined it here, but also within the book. So I really encourage the readers, I mean, the viewers, to get out there and read this book, because it's something you almost have to read a few times to really kind of grasp, and not only grasp it, but then implement it. If you're a parent, even if you're not a parent, if you are a teacher, anywhere that you have a touch point with a child, this can really make a difference in their lives. But more importantly, what is happening with yourself and what is happening from your past, your lineage, stuff like that. So there's so many great tools and techniques that you put in there that I'm just thrilled. So, but I'll pass it over to Gail.
Oh, thank you so much, Christa. I have to say, Paul, it's a pleasure to meet you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Gail.
This book really dug deep into so many issues. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I have to admit I identified with some of them. Been there, done that, both as a child and as a parent who did the best she could with the tools that she had at the time. One of the things that really impressed me, Paul, is that it seems to me that as of late, and hopefully the tide is turning on this, parents have abdicated their responsibility for raising their children. And
Yeah.
this was really evident in the movie Adolescence Highlights and the negativity that this child was subjected to, and the parents had no clue. And so I was really, really moved. And yes, I didn't go into introducing myself. That's fine. This moved me so much. And so in reading that, it's something that I was aware of, the black sites, the negativity, but is more prevalent. It's not in the dark anymore. It really is out in the open. So can you speak a little bit about some of the things maybe you've run into where children have been ghosted, they've been abused? Of course, there's peer pressure. We all know that. But what social media has done and the internet has done to exacerbate that, and how parents need to really wake up and pay attention.
Oh, Gail, what a question. Good on you. I'll tell you what, I got to shiver myself then, because I would be reluctant to open my vault of client stories. Not that I would put names to them, but just what people have been exposed to. But I'll just keep it as accurately as I can. It's again that snowball rolling down the hill scenario where parents themselves didn't get good role modeling from their parents. And then if you roll it back another generation, those people were in full survival mode, living through war and depression. And so, my own father was born in 1930 in northeast England in Newcastle, and so a very hard time to arrive. And then he brings his own challenges of what he was exposed to into our family, and a great man in his own right, but in terms of parental skills that we would like to have been raised by, but he was a bit sort of short in that area, and to be polite, and so the onus really is on the aware person, the aware adult, to become a very hands-on. People call them helicopter parents sometimes. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You can go a long way up in a helicopter. You don't have to swamp a person with the breeze, but you need to be aware of who they are as children, where they are, who they are talking to, who might have access to them. I'm sure most of you people are mums, so the dreaded fear of 1 minute of slip up, of lack of attention, and you've got a child that could be permanently damaged by a degree of abuse or a shock or a fright. And it doesn't even have to be any of the grisly stuff, but it can be enough to make them not want to go to school, not want to play, feel nervous around friends. So the answer is really about awareness. Gee, I probably lost the question in there, Gail. So please, if I've left anything out,
that's quite all right. And I'll share a little scenario with me and then pop it over to Laura. I was looking for a daycare for my infant son as I was going back to work, and I was telephone interviewing first. And there was this one that I hung up, and I looked at my husband. I said no, and he said why? I said I don't need to answer. No.
Yeah.
Within a month, they were closed down because of sexual abuse. So if you have a feeling, you do not have to justify it. This is your child. Do it. That's it. Do it. You don't know what you've avoided because you've avoided it. So on to you, Laura.
Oh, a lot of different emotions here. I usually it's rare that I feel challenged with any of our guests. Sanet knows how my brain works. I truly have 1,001 conversations in my head going on with you right now, Paul, because this is not just a book, certainly not just a manual. This is truly one of those works that I personally feel should be in every home. Especially for those of us that do continue to struggle with the ancestral energies of just this generation. Like you said, forget the great grandparents, even the grandparents, just our parents. And I write about this in the Science of Empowerment, about how we become these walking algorithms of someone else's thought processes and their behaviors. And you talk about this throughout the book. And to bring an awareness to parents of what is off center within them is quite a challenge. And I can only imagine the unique way you bridge your intuitive skill set and then that therapeutic training, and how you've brought this now in through the tapping process. It's really just this incredible alchemy of tools and modalities that I think are so high powered. I really urge everyone who eventually listens to this show to pick this book up. For me, it is almost self-preservation when you read this, and then the accountability of what we place upon our children is I don't know. I cannot quite emphasize how I feel about the book right now. But something that I really love is how you brought body, and my language is thought energy, into play. This is really the process of how we think, the lack of awareness to how we're thinking, emotionality takes over, and then the behaviors come out. And this tapping process, the targeted end of it, but it's this connection to body, to self, to the grounding, to the heart. Can you just kind of express your thoughts around this? Because you have such a unique background, especially in that psychic ability, but you've brought it into a very physical grounding to how to settle those energies that are a bit scattered. So can you talk a little bit about why this technique mattered enough to you to create this work that you now are gifting out to the world?
Sure, Laura, thanks. Another great question. What a pleasure it is to be getting brilliant questions. So, well, it's really come probably from my own journey about what I needed. You know, as an example, my dad was a police inspector. So I've got an element of interrogation, as my partner will tell you, that's chilling sometimes. And but it's because it's what I've endured as an empath in a family of 3 children, but 2 of them academics, and then there's me, this sort of flake that didn't want to do university and didn't want to do anything else, and just put a backpack on in my 20s because I needed to find out who I was. And so I did the standard Australian, 7 months backpacking in Europe and the Middle East, which is what we do over here because we're so far away from everywhere. You've got to save up and do it in a big hit. And so when I learned the emotional freedom technique from the Gary Craig manual in the early 2000s, it provided a sheet. I think from memory, I saw a sheet somewhere of, say, about 80 words. And so what I would be doing with my clients is handing them the sheet and then go, choose the words that most represent you at the moment. Well, what quickly happened, because when people turn up to have a reading or a session with me, they're usually in a vulnerable state. No one wants to be shown up as feeling insecure, not coping well, defensive, wounded. So they would point out words like, I'm feeling nervous, and I'm feeling a bit cautious, and I'm feeling and I'm an empath. So I'm sitting there going, you lying sod. Um, you are so not feeling just that. And I've toned that answer down because I knew what they were feeling. So then it became really obvious to me that the only way I was going to help people in a significant time frame, because everybody's time's precious and time's money and all that stuff, was to start writing a bank of statements that could get past the defensive mind. So if you consider that you've got your beautiful heart and your connection to, the universe and whatever version of spiritual beliefs you've got, there's a part of us that is the greater mind and accesses that. But to survive our family as babies, as children, as teenagers, as adults, and then the world, we've had to develop a defensive persona. And a lot of people hide behind the image of, I'm an artist, I'm a bodybuilder, I'm a, competition coffee drinker, I'm a whatever it is. And then that becomes their mask. But it's just taking them further away from the important heart-head combination. And under traditional Chinese medical view, courage lives in your heart. So that if you don't keep your heart strong, and this is the first thing that can deplete at any time with unnecessary chit-chat, gossip, endless naggings and critical thinking and negative thinking, it can drain out a person's life force because that's in the heart. So what my goal with creating targeted EFT was and developing that through, and I have hundreds of statements now that are written over the decades, and an individual person's like a combination lock to me. It's like, okay, so they've come in because they've got a speaking up issue, but let's research that a bit better. Oh, okay, yeah, it was a childhood shutdown issue that brought shame, blame, critical thinking, vulnerability, embarrassment, humiliation. So we've got to work on that topic, or they're still not going to be able to talk when they leave. And then if they've picked up, we mentioned, as Gail mentioned a minute ago, the sexual abuse thing. Let me just quickly show you how important that is. Society runs a polite statistic that says 1 in 3 females, 1 in 5 males have received sexual abuse or experienced sexual abuse in their life. Now, we can't go into third world countries and get a stat out of them because that just sends it through the roof. But that's the polite figure. But I use 4 categories to define that, because I do palmistry, so where I can read a person's palm and I can see it on their palm. I can feel it in how they talk. So then when it comes down to it, I go, well, let me give you the categories I use for sexual abuse and violation trauma, because that's what your mind's using on you now. Society-wise, they only say category 2 in my definitions, inappropriate touch, handling, tickling any age. That's the category they get the ratios of. I use 4 categories. So just have a nice deep breath, everybody, because you asked for it. So first one is anytime you felt people, especially males, have been sleazy, dodgy, scummy, or inappropriate. That can create a shudder through your system that'll trigger any vulnerability you've ever had. And womankind collectively can feel for other women and other people that have experienced that. And it's always going through the consciousness field that we all live in the terrarium we live in. So that's category 1. Category 2 is anytime you felt you've been exposed to inappropriate touch, handling, or tickling at any age. Category 3 is guys flashing at you and scaring you, and nowadays can include unsolicited dick pics, etc. And then category 4, most people have experienced this, and I mean most people. This is anytime you felt you haven't been respectfully, appropriately sexually engaged with. This can happen in your marriage, in a relationship, on a date, in your teenage years, all that sort of stuff. So when you add all of that into the mix, that creates a massive pile of energy, and we all transmit. I always envisage a little transmitter tower on the top of our head, and the collective amount of wounds you've encountered in your whole life um, is coming out of that transmitter. So all the New Age books go, love's magnetic, isn't it great? Well, it is, but it's got a signal, but so has fear and wound. So what it comes down to is your fear and wound signal is stronger than your love signal, then it's going to flash, and the universe is a neutral force, and it wants all of us to heal and evolve. So it'll go, my gift to you is I'll show you your unaddressed stories. I'll show you your unaddressed topics. I'll bring another dodgy guy into your life because you don't seem to be speaking up for yourself well enough or responding with good boundaries. So, so then these people turn up, and then the next minute you get a situation where the conscious mind, the survival focused mind goes, oh my God, there's another dodgy guy. There's another dodgy person. Let's get out of here. So it never holds its ground to address the topic. And it wouldn't have done any work anyway, because it always runs away from anything that may challenge its view of a perfect world, even though the emperor's got no clothes and the ship's sinking and every other scenario you want to add to the story. So hence our goal is work on the self to get a more grounded, whole, beautiful, resonating being, because resonance is a tangible language, and there's not enough quality of it in the world at the moment, but it's changing.
I'm having a hard time like containing my own level of energy. We're incredibly like-minded. I travel around the world speaking on thought energy, but because of what you were just speaking, the energetic construct around every thought, every pattern, every behavior, everything that you're discussing, we can only get through so much in this hour. And honestly, even this book, again, read it, because it will ignite so much of what you're sharing within this show. But it truly, even though when you say helping kids rise and shine, I take it as my kid, my inner kid, my inner child helping rise and shine that energetic being that was probably, as you said, all of us at the very onset of our entry into the human condition was already starting to get messed with. It really was. Forget, again, ancestral and intuitive and psychic and universal and God and all of that lexicon that we can pour into our conversation. Energetic beings are affected by the energy in the womb, before the womb, and certainly once we come out into the human condition. And there's so much you said there. Honestly, way too much to address and unpack, but I'm buzzing right now because this is my language. This is Sanet and my girls here know I really am all about empowering, right? Ourself first. Otherwise, we will never be able to show up as an empowerment tool or technique, certainly not a parent. I'm forever working with my two girls, owning the accountability of how I'm interacting with them at any moment, thus healing and helping rise and shine more with purpose for them. And I let them know that this will be till I take my last breath. This is not a one and done. It is this constant movement of awareness, and the skill and the technique that you offer in this book, I think, is just absolutely profound. And so I love you. I love your humanness. I love the gifts that you've brought into the world and how you're expressing them. Never give in and never give up to this mission that you have. It is needed. And we all do this in our own individual ways, but it's needed. It's needed. So thank you for that particular answer. And I'm going to go back to Sanet, but I have so much more I want to say, but thank you, Miss Sanet. Would you like to ask a question?
Thank you. I had to bring other alien glasses for you, my beautiful
I know.
Laura. So, my beautiful one, I'm just going to ask a short question. I will ask a question if you can give us a shorter answer for this one, because I know the ladies would also love to go through their second question. First of all, I want to say in the download, in the notes down, if you click on the download notes, all of Paul's snippet of his book, the link to his to pre-order the book, everything is on there, as well as the co-host details. So connect with us, please. Go and visit Paul's beautiful website. I've added to your name as well, my beautiful Paul, while you were talking. And then we have got sunglasses from Christiana and Renee say, Laura, love your comment, not one and done. I love that. So, my beautiful one, I just wanted to say also from my side, thank you so much for everything that you have done in the book. Hearing some of the questions now from the co-host, and I know that you have donated money to a publisher that never helped you. I love the way that you told me that you donated and nothing happened with that.
Just a lazy 10 grand, Sanet.
Yes, and that you had that knowing that this book needs to go out, that you and your beautiful partner have created your own publisher to do this.
Yeah.
I just want to take my hat off for you and say thank you. That's the reason why God have now given me this another title to add, publisher as well, for my Diamond Beauties and Tanzanite. But can I just ask, you creating with Elaine this amazing everything that you've created?
Yeah.
How are you feeling at this moment? And then I will hand over to beautiful Christa, because this was a big task. Creating the publishing, completing, going into all this book fairs and libraries, and it's a lot of work, it's a lot of things, but your mission is so important, it's so amazing. So all over to you, Paul.
Oh, thank you, Sanet. Look, yes, it's easy for us to get caught up in the book, but the book couldn't happen. Come over here, please. She's going to hate me for this, but Elaine really is the powerhouse. I did the easy bit. I wrote the book. She did everything else. And this is Elaine Gentles, my beautiful partner. And,
Hello, Miss Lane.
And
Hello.
I'll just give you. She can't hear you. I've got this.
Okay. Can you hear us? Welcome.
Hello. It's been
Hello.
wonderful to hear your feedback and your responses, and I've been using a tissue to wipe my tears because you've expressed the intention that we had for this book the whole way through.
Yeah.
And
9 versions, 5 years of writing, 40 years of research, all that stuff.
We've lived every word.
And
we're honored. We're honored that you put this work into the world and to be a part of bringing it out to a wider audience. And individually, we'll do that. I already have a podcast host that I think would be very interested for you too, to go on. And it's an amazing piece of work. And we all know we're all writers, and our work means so much. And when you're moving into, again, that inner child and an actual child, we understand, we've been through enough, like you both have, that this is just such an important bridge to cross, that we want to really kind of link in and lock arms and help get it out there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
So my beautiful Elaine, you've got a message from Renee. She said Elaine is a rock star.
As a good friend of ours, and it's lovely to see her getting out of bed to watch this as well.
Oh, thank you. Christa?
So I'm so excited to be able to squeeze in a question here. So I'm going to first share a personal experience, and I am doing this to give like an analogy of how this book is not only for parents, not only for people who are raising families. So I was in the hospital. I have a chronic illness, and there was this one amazing nurse who came to me and said, "Have you heard of the EFT, emotional freedom technique?" I'm thinking, no, I have heard of, the medication that I'm taking. So she took the time and gave me some papers and taught me how to do it on myself. So it was not only dealing with the physical pain I was going through, but you just nailed it in your book. There's so much pain that I didn't deal with emotionally from the past, from my childhood, from things that I know that as an empath as well, that I picked up from my parents, that is continued on. So this is really a gift, not only to parents or to teachers or to, those people trying to help their kids. Think about the hospitals. Think about the people who are just working with vulnerable people who can use the help in so many ways. So I really wanted to point that out because I know there's a lot of other people who may be watching who saying, "Well, I don't have kids." I'm telling you, it's not meant for that. It's meant for you and yourself. And if it can replace some of the medication that I took and made myself start to self heal, that was, I think, one of the most empowering and breakthrough moments, kind of like a spiritual awakening for me, I will say. But I'm going to shift a little bit because this really got me about the cyberbullying. There's so many different things that we're have to watch for our children. Yes, definitely any type of interaction with walking home from school or, when they're older, going out to wherever, a party, when they're younger, going to people's houses, you don't know their parents. But the cyberbullying is something that you can maybe put a picture of yourself on, and you think that other person might only have it, but they can end up sharing it and creating any story they want. And the effect on you, and I've heard this so many times, it literally has affected people's lives to the point is they've taken their lives, unfortunately, because the shame and the guilt that they've put on themselves that they're not responsible for, is something that I think really needs to be touched upon, and brought to awareness. So, and how your technique could be used to basically stop that as an intervention, almost before that person spirals down. So if you can kind of talk anywhere about that.
Well, yes, thanks, Chris. A beautiful question as well. What people probably don't realize, and this is only known statistics, but in the US alone, as of about 2020, with Richard Wachowski's information that we feature in the book there, around 4,500 children, teenagers at that time were known to have suicided from cyberbullying. So when people start putting numbers onto a topic, and we live in quite a small town community, actually, because we're in the forest. But that could be everybody in a 20-mile radius. That could be everybody. 4,500 people could be a massive chunk of impact. But it was, we knew about the cyberbullying, been researching it for years. But in Australia, Mark Fennell, one of our intrepid, independent journos and producers and people like that, he created a two-part TV series called The School That Tried to End Racism, and they went into children of age about 10 or 11, roughly grade 6 in Australia, and when they did a questionnaire, no one thought they were particularly racist, although the questions showed that they had the belief systems of their parents, not surprisingly, and the TV and the religion and the cultural influences they've been exposed to for greater or better or worse. So it was a brilliant thing to watch, because what it helped us realize is why we had to expand those categories out, because originally it was just bullying, and then we went, hang on a minute, there's racial bullying, there's cyberbullying, there's LGBTQIA plus bullying, there's disability support bullying. And I'm sure as you've read through the statements and the way I've worded them, it would have choked you up on the way through, because it was like, oh my God, I'm an adult and I'm struggling. I'm not the disabled kid who gets excluded all the time. Some of the stories we read, some of these disabled kids were complaining that they get hit, pushed out of the road, have their wheelchairs jammed in a corner that they can't get out from. And that's happening right now. And but bullying's a learned behavior. And if any of you people, well, we know, we got Christa, you're in Canada, so somewhere just a bit further south of you, one of the world's greatest bullies is frequently on display globally, and then making that sort of comments and behaviour is okay. It's not okay. It should be banned with any person in authority, and then you look at bullying. It's in the military. It's in every business. It can be in the home. It can be economic bullying of a husband to a wife. It can be all sorts of things, and it's all coming out of unaddressed rejection issues in childhood, fear of being small and powerless, and then when a person grows and they get bigger or stronger or have money, then they can vent their pain. Unfortunately, rather than going, I might have an issue here, maybe I should get some help, maybe I should evolve from this BS behavior and take more accountability for myself and actually share kindness, love, and compassion, and create a better place in myself, so that I can create a better relationship and have a better quality partner who reflects that. Because the book essentially, in its earlier format, was Wounded Inner Child, Wounded Inner Teenager, and we gave it to some friends of ours that do training in Australia, and they went, "You've got 5 books here, you better break it down." So then we had to sort of drop it into 186 pages or something, because what people don't really realise is the whole world, like a rat-shitted kaleidoscope, basically positions itself to reflect your level of self-love and wound all the time. So if you're in heart space and confident and in your authentic truth and power, you're going to ripple out beautifully. If you look devious and wanting to steal from somebody in any sort of form, whether it's their time, their body, their money, their their food, any topic, then that's going to ripple back to them as well. So to help this planet evolve at the moment, we need more people in their heart. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. I tried to chat here in the private. Laura, please start.
Yeah, so now we're going into our paparazzi round with you, Paul. I'm going to ask you, or I'm going to say 3 words, one at a time, and just give us your gut reaction, like 1 word or maybe 2 words, just what you're feeling based on the word. I'm going to do the first 3, and then our beautiful Miss Christa Rose will do the last 3. Are you ready? Here we go. So my first word to you is childhood.
Pure.
That's good.
Second word, energy.
Constant.
And this is a nod to Howard, someone so dear and near to us, always forever with us. Shine.
Rise and shine.
Mm,
Rise and shine.
beautiful. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's awesome. Yeah, those are great words, Laura, and very close to some of the words I was going to ask. So thank goodness I wrote a few more different ones. So the first one, Paul, I would like to say is influences.
Mm.
Authentic.
Oof, nice.
That's good. Clarity.
Vital.
Mm. Wow, I love that.
And wounded.
Mm.
It's everywhere. Needs healing.
Oh,
that
I
is
love
fantastic.
that. Yeah. Thank you. That is called the speed round. And our beautiful Howard Brown, who recently transitioned, he created this and we've carried it through. And we love this because I feel for the listening audience, it's a moment and a snapshot into the power that we all possess to look at these words, feel these words, hear them, and know what's contained within them. And that's the ability to heal, to forgive, and to really, I think, establish self-worth and self-love, which I see throughout this book. Again, I know we're going to keep saying this, but it is a life manual to self-evolution. And I love that you have this intuitive, psychic, right, energy, and you've brought it into this beautiful developmental work through mind body connection. So there's just so much wrapped up in helping kids rise and shine. I'm going to say it again, helping the kid rise and shine, because then it will be so much more pleasurable to guide your children or even your nieces, nephews, a grandbaby to rise and shine when you are already holding that power of shine yourself. So Miss Gail, we may have a quick moment, but Sanet can let me know. No, we don't. So sorry. So
No
sorry,
problem. No problem.
Miss Sanet.
My beautiful viewers, I know that you have loved this, that you have loved also hearing Paul's voice and the reason why he wanted to do and share this amazing book. And my little one is very upset. So I'm going to try and quickly do this. So, my Paul and my beautiful viewers, would you love to have a dance with us?
Yes, we would.
Yes, yes, of
And
course.
the viewers say they will, they will. Here we go. Oh my, look how beautiful.
Hi, baby. Thank you so much, Paul. You are amazing.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to meet everybody.
Loved it.
Absolutely amazing show.
So I can fly away, smiling at the moonbeam, swimming in the sun, sprinkle me with fairy dust, and cover me with.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Paul. Everybody, rise and shine.